Yeah. Project.
And get paid. Who likes getting paid here? All the hands. Come on. Who likes getting paid?
Getting paid.
Yeah,
Spoilers for the rest of the panel. You don't always get paid.
Well, I can pay my rents with like recognition, and you know.
Yeah, who was it that was sending me an IM about that while we were working on these slides?
Yes, this is true. All right, so I'm going to take some time. We're going to introduce all the panelists here, and first is this gentleman over here.
Yo, I'm Brendan, or Inverse Phase. I'm a chiptune nerd. I do write game soundtracks. I do originals. Probably my entire two large claims to fame are if you've ever played Super Smash Land, which is the like Game Boy demake, so to speak, of Smash Brothers, or if you've seen that 8-bit 9 Inch Nails thing from like 3 years ago. Those are the things I did. But my credits include Smash Land, like I mentioned. I was also on Shuttle Scuttle. There's a new game coming out called Where's My Mommy? And there's a game that probably should have been out by now called Beatdown City, but we're still working on it. And if you want to check me out online, because you can't see the slide, I am at inversephase.com.
All right.
Yeah, I love your stuff. I think I told you that last time.
Much appreciated.
Yes. Right down the line. Just go down the line.
Yeah.
All right, going down the line. I am Lady J, a.k.a. Create Lady J. I'm the CEO of Wreck the System Recordings, and I'm also a nerdcore hip-hop artist, as well as audio engineer. I've engineered for the past 13 years, and I'm here to explain the importance of mixing your stuff right, and we'll get into the details of that. My credits includes actually owning a business and successfully running it for the past 2 years, and I also have a new record out with Mega Ran and a new album right here, Tokens. They have a lot of nice features on it, featuring Sky Blue, Twill Distilled here, and a few others. So make sure you check that out after the panel.
All right. Next.
Hi, I am Twill Distilled. I am a nerdcore hip-hop and dirty pop artist. I'm here today to talk mostly about anyone who's interested in being a vocalist, because more and more we're finding that while chiptunes and even orchestral music is very much in video game music, more and more you are finding vocalists becoming into video game music. Credits would include, I actually have a song in the Hacker Wars documentary right now, which is on Netflix, which is about hacktivism, follows Weave, and some other things. And as well as that, right now currently working with a producer in Germany named Neon Insect. He remixed one of my songs from my album that I just dropped, and he does a bunch of video game music over here in the States, even though he lives in Germany. So.
Awesome. Hi, y'all. What's good? My name is Cam3. I am a music composer, video game remixer, and also the in-house producer for Wreck the System Recordings. Basically, I'm here to talk about some of what I do in terms of music composition, in terms of like what software that I use, the entire creative process, and going through exactly what's needed in order to make some of the beats and instrumentals for some of our projects, as well as some of the VGM remixes and original compositions I like to make for in my free time, as well as for certain projects and independent projects. And my last two productions were Our Fantasy 2, New Beginnings. It was a Lady J album she released last year, and also the Tokens album that we were talking about. I produced the majority of the album, as well as the beats, and also contributed a couple of verses. I'm a nerdcore rapper as well, so.
All right, and I'm Elise Jimenez. I'll be moderating this panel today. I'll be asking these lovely people some questions. I'll be answering some questions too. So yeah, we're going to talk a lot about creating audio from the production standpoint, from the composition standpoint, and yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun doing this. If you don't know me, I do music for games, music and sound effects. Labyrinths of Astoria was one I just did, Pixel Prison Blues, and I run the Montclair Gamer Symphony Orchestra, where I'm the conductor for that. So yeah, so let's get this started. So I think our first question is, I don't have my computer with me right now, but I think your first question is, what does your daily work schedule look like? So what do you do on a day-to-day basis with your work? So we can just go down the line and answer that. Whoever wants to go first.
Start with Cam.
My day kind of goes into. It's kind of it's
It's going to be longer than 30 seconds.
kind of
It's all
different
right.
for me because it depends on the type of project that I got going on. But my day usually begins in terms of like what project I have to put down. Usually I'm given like 2 or 3 beats to work on for the rest of that week, and so I like to just sit down and try to paste together like the exact production process that I'm going through. It's kind of different for me. It depends. Yeah, I mostly go through like whatever beats that I'm going through, and I try to commit like a couple of hours to each of those beats and everything. I send off a couple of demos to Lady J and the rest of the studio, and then we'll just try to see about the next project, and then whatever commissions that I have from other clients, and I go down from there.
All right. Allie?
So right now, I'm a nerdcore artist. Actually, it's not quite paying the bills, so I do have a day job. So through 9 to 6, I'm actually an art director at a screen print shop out in Ohio. Actually, I'm the one who got our jackets made for this weekend. And then I come home. I usually deal with any kind of meetings I may have. I have a spreadsheet that is like very, very detailed. So anyone I'm working with, anyone I need to write for, anyone I need to do vocals with, I have my due dates, and I make sure to kick everybody out of my recording booth and get whatever I need done. After that, I'll either mix rough drafts or talk to the studio as to what's going on with their next projects. As well as that, I also take art commissions on the side, so anything that isn't a music day, I'm working and doing art as well. Like I just did, I do posters for like say Mega Ran when he goes on tour and other things like that. So it's constantly flip-flopping between both music and art.
Day to day, I'm a audio engineer, and audio engineer really is a problem solver, or at least in the work that I'm doing. A lot of times I'll have clients come into the recording studio, they'll lay down vocals, they'll give me instrumentals to lay, or I work with producers as well. They'll send me something that they laid down, because composing it is one thing, but you have to have it sounding a certain way. So I'll get emails from Cam3 or many other producers, fix it up for them, send it off, and have it ready to go out on the market.
So maybe 5 years ago, I went full time, and I'm really into chiptunes. So my day-to-day usually involves listening to some music if I can, and then jumping to work on any of my 3 gigs, and just kind of feeling out what I'm inspired for that day, and trying to get maybe a minute or 2 of music done on any of the given projects. Sometimes there's a priority, and you kind of just jump to that, and other times you're just like, well, I've got 3 things going on at the same time. Let's just try and get something done for any of them. And some days it's just a pizza break all day. And that sounds really glamorous, but it's actually pretty far from the truth. Like when you're not doing work, you feel like you should be doing work when it's your full-time job for music. So it's kind of frustrating, but sometimes you just working a creative job is a lot different from working a regular day job. So if I see a lot of people nodding in the audience, in probably understanding, but if you're not already aware, it's definitely weird doing art. So my day usually just kind of tries, you spend like until noon trying to like get ideas, and then you spend until about 5 trying to put those ideas into action, and then eventually you realize it's midnight and you like haven't done anything or something like that. But that's pretty much my day every single day. Weekends, holidays, birthday, whatever.
I can relate with a lot of coffee.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gave everyone a good insight into like what it's like to work as a creative music professional.
You're
so,
not gonna tell us your day to day.
Oh, my day to day is basically Brendan's, except with a lot of coffee. Just
And
copious
she's a
amounts
little
of
bit
coffee.
cuter.
Yeah. It's basically just the same thing. Insert coffee. Anyway, I want to just ask everyone, just a very brief answer. How did you get into just music and video games, and how did you get into like just this world of game audio, game remixes. You know, what inspired you to do this? So quick answers. We'll go right down the line. We'll start again with Cam and come back down.
Yeah, I always grew up loving video game music. You know, if there was a game with a sound test, I always, you know, went to it. But I always thought it was kind of weird for me because nobody else really, you know, shared that love of game music and stuff. I thought it was kind of weird. And so it took me up until like around college when I realized that there was like a whole, you know, community of people that was into like not only into video game music but also remixing it and arranging it and stuff like that. When I discovered OC Remix, Overclock Remix for the first time, and just the beautiful arrangements of my childhood. And so somewhere down the line, I eventually got into music production, into some software and stuff like that, and and that's where I started learning how to do it.
So we have a timer here for answers. It says get off the mic after 30 seconds.
It's warning us, kind of encouraging us to move it along
You hear the
because
Jaws
otherwise we'll
theme
never
play.
get through our slides.
All right, next.
So the way I originally got into music is it's always been a part of my life. I was in vocal training with the Peabody's Children's Chorus at Johns Hopkins in Baltimore. And growing up, I had older siblings who were very much into gaming. So I think my first love had to be Nobuo Uematsu, who does all the Final Fantasy music. And just hearing that and very much being a part of, you know, just because my interest is what got me into doing what I'm doing now. I got it! I solved it!
Lady J, you're up.
Take that.
Boy. Okay, I started off doing normal hip-hop music. So I would write lyrics, I was an MC. I got frustrated because going to the other studios, they didn't make my music sound right, and I knew that even without training. So I got the training, and I loved video games. Started tampering with that and meeting different people in the network, and I was like, you know what? This is what I want to do because this hippity-hop stuff, it ain't really for me. Bam, done.
We didn't hear the Sonic one that time.
Yeah.
Nope. She made it to
6 seconds to go.
It's a 30-second timer
Rolski,
with a
keep talking.
5-second warning, and it randomizes
that
the
was-
sound
that
that
was
plays,
very
so
quick.
it's awesome.
We're all just gonna keep talking
All right.
faster and faster to try to beat
Yeah.
out each other's time.
All of a sudden, we're going to be
getting it
ADHD
now.
at the end of the panel. It'll be great.
All right, you're up.
I live video games. I was the kid with the boombox next to the TV, recording game soundtracks and listening to them to like put me to sleep. I learned how to program when I was 5. I took organ and keyboard lessons when I was 4. I can't read sheet music. I can't play any instruments. I've been trying to figure out how to put all of that together for like the last 20 years. Finally, I'm writing chiptunes.
All right. All right, and yeah, I'm waiting for you to start the timer.
Oh, you can. I'll start.
I
it
can
when you
talk, yeah. All right. So yeah, and for me, it was just lots of just NES games and just like falling in love with the music. I just remember like I really was like just entranced with the music with NES games, and yeah, I've been playing like saxophone since the 4th grade, and then I came to MAGFest one day and was like, I can make music for games as a career. What? And that's where I am at now. Now moderating this panel. Hooray!
Hooray!
All
Oh,
right.
she won 7 seconds.
Cool. All right. So that was cool. Now, just want to kind of talk a little bit about what advice you would give people who want to break into game audio. So, you know, feel free to just kind of jump in if anyone has got like any advice, like for networking, how to, you know, there's a how to find work question coming next, so we'll cover that too. But yeah, well, like if you can give someone this one valuable piece of advice, let's boil it down to that. Maybe something from everybody. What would you say to somebody who wants to break into game audio?
Ooh, so many. All right. I'll give kind of a very short 2-parter. One, demo. MAGFest. I mean, there's an indie game. There's a whole room dedicated to indie games here. I mean, come on. And if you are showing these people and you make sure that your sound is matched up with whatever the game is, the feeling of the game, that's 1. 2, make sure your stuff sounds right. Make sure it is engineered properly. Make sure all the frequencies are set. That's way too long to get into. But just don't lay it down and think it's ready to go, because there's a lot that goes into music and especially game music production.
All right. Go for it.
Okay.
Whoever wants to jump in and give any advice, just go for it.
You can do the thing.
So as a vocalist, I will gear my advice specifically towards being a vocalist. So My thing is always learning how to be versatile. So, as I said before, I've had vocal training, so I can do everything from hip hop to opera, which sounds crazy, but it works. I actually have a song on my album that I just released where I rap, and at the end there's an opera track. It's from The Fifth Element, right? So because I'm versatile and I'm able to do all these different styles, I'm not just stuck in one genre. And as Lady J was saying, you know, making sure you mesh well with somebody's game and their sound and their genre is always very important. So for me as a vocalist, I would say, and very strongly emphasize, work on being a versatile artist that people can work with.
One word of advice I do have for aspiring composers that just want to get out there, you got to put it out there. You have to get over, you know, whatever, you know, fears that you may have as just like, oh, what if they don't like my music or anything. I came into it with zero music experience, but knowing that I loved what I did and having the technology, I started to learn it slowly but surely how to get my music. And you know, we've got SoundCloud, we've got Newgrounds, we've got tons of, you know, different avenues where you can just put your music out there, and little by little you put it out there, you get feedback, you improve, but you can't be afraid to take that first step. You just have to put it out there and just go and just keep going from there.
Make friends. Don't screw them over. Find a fan studio. You know, like work with someone that is actually a fan of your work and understands you and how you work. Shoot for the stars, but don't insist on the stars. And kind of to wrap with the make sure your stuff is right and put something out there. I'm going to put you right in between. Learn where your stopping point is. A lot of artists are perfectionists. It will never be perfect, ever. Get over it. I'm not over it, and I'm up here on this panel, and I'm telling you, if you figure out how to get over it, you will be ahead of us. Like, if you can hit that 80% mark, not, you know, like, good enough is not really the right phrase to use, but like that is my serious, like, you will stress yourself out so much less and get so much more done when you figure out when something is fit for the job, but not, you know, like, just don't blow your load every time, you know, because you'll burn yourself out.
Great advice, seriously.
This is great advice from
I-
everyone. Like, this is awesome. I just wanted to add that, like, if you feel like, you know, you're trying to get into game audio and you feel like, oh my God, I can't find any opportunities, I can't find something to do, like, you have the power to create your own opportunities. You know, go to a game jam or something, get your friends together and be like, let's make a game, I'm gonna do the soundtrack. You gotta get your music out, and something like what Cam was saying, like, don't be afraid to put it out there. And yeah, just, you know, you just gotta try to create your own opportunities to get your name out there. Sometimes, like, you can't
Release an album.
Release an album, yeah, do something. Just the internet's there, you got the opportunity, just go for it, seize the day and all that. So yeah. All right. So yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how do we find work, because this is a game audio panel about getting paid, and we all like to get paid. I think we surveyed the audience, and 90% of the people here like to get paid. The other 10%, it's all good, it's cool. But yeah, I like getting paid. We all like getting paid. So
Is there anyone in the audience that actually puts their music out for free and wants it to stay free? Don't do that. Put a value on yourself.
You're worth something. Seriously, you can do this. All right. So how do we all go about finding work that paid, that sweet money?
Run down the line.
Yeah, let's do a 30-second answers. Cam, you want to start us off?
Okay.
right.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of avenues out there. I say you just got to do the research as to where you can put your stuff out there. I mean, you have different things like Bandcamp, even, you know, there are different platforms where you can get paid for your type of stuff. But it's just do the research, put the time in to see exactly how can I go about doing this stuff and actually getting profit from it. Just like talk to the right people, or at least talk to people in general, and at least get it circulating. And that's the good step.
All right. Keep going. Allie, you're up.
So for me, my biggest thing is networking, networking, networking. A majority of this, you need to think of yourself not only as an artist, but as a business person. And business is a majority of what you will be doing. And networking is so crucial. I can't tell you how many paid jobs I've had, or, you know, my album was very successful because of the people I know and how much I network. Shout out to IQ and Kid Flu who just walked into the room.
That was
That
so
was perfect timing.
greatly timed.
Perfect
Oh my
timing.
goodness.
Appropriate.
There was bound to be an air horn. When I'm involved in things, air horns tend to follow. So,
Goodness.
next.
All right. Goodness. I mean, she took the words right out of my mouth. Networking is very important. You cannot, for one, you cannot find work just by putting it on the internet or putting it on Bandcamp. You need to go use all of your avenues. There are many chat rooms. There's many different places at MAGFest, I say again, for you to get out and meet different people and treat yourself as an important player in this game. You're just as important as anybody else you see out in the world.
True facts, almost all of the jobs that I have gotten were from Twitter. Like, just straight up. Like, it's really weird, but you can just, like, search on Twitter for people looking for game audio work. Like, someone says, I'm a dude, I'm looking for a chiptune soundtrack for a side-scroller. Can you do it? And I answer yes.
I find a lot of, well, like what everyone else is saying, networking and stuff, a little mix of the in-person and online and everything. So, yeah, I go out to a lot of like there's a lot of local events too that are fantastic. I don't know if anyone knows about like IGDA or, you
Good
know,
one.
some cities have specific kind of like groups. Like we have Playcrafting in New York City and in Boston now, if anyone here is in Boston. I know they're in San Fran and Seattle as well too. But yeah, local events. Oh no, it's starting. Go out to events and meet people and all that. All right, cool. So I know sometimes this happens a lot in the indie like game composition space. Is like, you know, you'll meet up with somebody and they'll be like, "Hey, Elisa, I like your music," and I'm like, "Hey, you, I like your game," and it's like all cool and stuff, and like, you know, the developer's like, "I don't got money to pay you though," and it's just like, and then, you know, a little like tear rolls down my eye and stuff, and so, you know, like and again, I think this is something that happens mostly like in the indie game space. Like, what do you do if like the budget isn't exactly what you think it's gonna be, and like what other ways can you like work around that? Like, what are some of your methods? If anyone else can chime in, it's all good. Yeah, for that.
Yeah, I think in that capacity, it's one of the things where you're weighing each other. All right, if you're finding that, do your research for one. Do your research about the game, see how much attention it's drawing, and if it's worth the name since it's growing to give them the track for free, then sure, because other people are going to see it and it's going to grow and they're going to get money and eventually they'll pay you.
I say have some kind of contract and like outline something and be like, all right, we're gonna work something out, like, you know. Exactly.
Or Google for term sheet. It's a short version of a contract that a lot of people find a little bit easier to look at and understand. And just get creative with ways for people to pay you. Like, consider a royalty instead of an upfront payment, or consider an upfront payment instead of a royalty, or ask for half down on start, half to finish. Like, there's tons of different ways. You know, ask for blowjobs. I mean, I know that sounds kind of appalling to maybe at least 3 people in the audience, but like, there is some way that this person that is writing this game can make you happy, and and the way that you can make them happy is by writing music for them. So, you know, treat them like a respectable individual that you want to work something out with.
Don't work for free.
No, don't.
Yes.
Ever. I will find you. If any of you work for free, I will find you.
Unless it's
And-
your own project.
Yeah.
Like, if you're writing the game and you're writing the music and you're doing the art and this is like your labor of love, then maybe.
By all means,
But,
yeah.
yeah.
For me, a lot of the time, it's like if somebody can't financially afford it, I try to make sure, like Jonay said, do your research, make sure it's somebody you want to get in bed with business-wise. If it's, I've had a lot of people more and more as I've gotten popular, it's more of, I want to work with you because I know you're popular and you'll make my project successful. And if somebody's trying to work with you like that, they're not worth your time. Like, I will straight up say that and be the dick. They're not worth your time. A lot of the times, too, if I can't afford someone or somebody can't afford me, we will work out an art trade. Like I mentioned earlier, like I do both music and art. So sometimes if I want a feature or if I want to work with a certain individual or whatever, I will often compensate with graphic design or vice versa. Be flexible, understand that, this is the indie industry. And not everybody, runs in a Rolls Royce. So be flexible, but certainly never, ever sell yourself short.
That gave me a cool idea that I'm going to throw out there to the audience, which is, like, if you're writing free music for, like, a game, maybe you should ask the programmer if after you're done they would, like, write a little mini game that you could use to promote your music. Huh?
The work trade, that's a great thing.
That's
Bargaining.
Yeah.
Yep.
Bargaining, yes.
So, what we learned from this little part here is, you don't have to work for free. Please don't. I will find you. And, you can do a work trade. You can, whatever it is that you, like, whatever you think is fair for you. So, like, if you want someone to build your website, and you make them game music, cool. That's all good. But make sure that you're not getting screwed over. That's the important thing. So, and, your definition of that might vary, but just make sure it's fair for you. Make sure that at the end of the day that the music you're making, the work that you're putting in, you're getting compensated for it somehow. So, yes, please don't work for free. All right. Let's see. We've got
Tight deadlines.
tight deadline. Oh yeah. So, tight deadlines is a big thing we experience a lot in the game world. Sometimes,
How do you
like,
handle those?
funny story. One time, I met somebody at one of these like game dev drink up things in a bar, and I'm like all chilling with my beer, being cool. Not cool. I'm a nerd, but I'm just hanging out there, and like a developer is like, "Hey, you're a sound person." They just know. It just says it like right on my head, like sound dork. And I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And the developer's like, "I got a game coming out tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "It's my first game." I'm like, "Yeah." Oh no, 30 seconds. Anyway, we signed a contract on a bar napkin, and I went home that night and made him sound effects because he didn't have sound effects for his freaking game that was coming out tomorrow. It's tight deadlines, everyone. So how does everyone deal with tight deadlines here?
Just be realistic. I mean, it's just like you want to be able to work on the projects that you want to be able to be counted as reliable, but there are just some things that you can't do. Like if you know that you got a lot of stuff on your plate and there's a project that's due like the very next week or the next day or tomorrow, you just got to be like, hey, can we work something out? It's just not going to work out. Let me push it back or whatever. Work something out, but don't stress yourself out trying to go under something that you just cannot do, that's not humanly possible to do.
How Twill deals with deadlines. I hold myself in a ball and cry. I demand more coffee. I say really organized. I have a spreadsheet. I try to make sure I know when my deadlines are because my evenings are literally all planned out. If I know, like when we did tokens, I had to get my vocals in at a certain time, so it was on my spreadsheet to get it in at a certain time. And if I knew it wasn't possible, being honest and upfront is the best thing you can do for yourself.
All right, I'll play off of what Cam 3 said in inverse phase. Definitely know when to let go, when it's good enough, and also honestly give yourself enough time. Be realistic. What I like doing is giving myself more time than what seems realistic. If something's going to be, there's a deadline for it to come out in March or something, I say I'm going to be done mid-February because I'm never done mid-February. So at least that gives you wiggle room.
So my process is usually to tell a client that I can't make the deadline, and then I procrastinate. And while I'm in the shower, I get a music idea, and then I immediately go to my computer and write down 10 seconds of music, and then it doesn't go anywhere. So by maybe about a week ahead of time, I'm crying and curled up in a little ball, and somehow that triggers the end of all of the songs. Okay, actually, my real answer is get a Scrum board. Like, work on Trello or Google up Scrum boards, or even just have a Scrum board on your wall. That's the real advice. I got a person that likes Scrum boards back there.
That organization is very important. I also, if somebody comes to me like last second, I'll charge them more. It's just like, I got to drop everything I'm doing. So, yeah.
Rush charge.
Yeah, they got to pay for my coffee for the next 24 hours and then some. All right, so I want to talk about, like, what tools does everyone here use to produce audio, to create great audio? And we have our three people from Rec the System. They have amazing studio facility, very local, I think, right in the DC area. So we got like great gear question. When it gets down to me, it's just like, I got a microphone and a guitar. So yeah. Anyway, let's start
So
over there.
most used hardware and software is what we're okay.
Yes.
Now, there's a lot of what's called DAW, which is digital audio workstations that are out there. I particularly like Pro Tools because what I like saying is Pro Tools is like a 1,050-piece puzzle and something else is more like a 300-piece. You can manipulate a lot more and get the sound that you want, whereas other things you might be able to get it, but it's easy or you can't put as much detail into it. So that's software.
All right.
In terms of music software, I've started off with FL Studio in the beginning, and see, we got some users out there, and it's been pretty reliable so far. I've since upgraded. I've started investing more into native instruments. Like I use Contact, the stuff the pros use, and I'm definitely anything I can find, whatever software I can find. I'm definitely trying to branch myself out into that. Contact, Massive, let me see. Complete 10, basically. I was going to break down all of them, but Complete 10. Yeah.
We should have some time for Q&A later on, too. So, all right, let's keep going.
So disclaimer, I am not actually a producer. I do attempt to make beats, though. I do make a lot of my own beats. So I mostly use FL Studios to produce beats. If not, I network and get other producer friends to help. And then to record in vocals, I use Adobe Audition.
In the chiptune world, there is no mixing and mastering. It all happens inside of your track. If you're writing like real, authentic chiptunes on system, and that's my deal. So you go out and there's like 1,000 different programs that all have the name Tracker after them. You find the one that does the thing that you want to do on the system that you want to do it on, and you use it. The most popular ones are FamiTracker and Devil Mask, probably. Yep.
So I actually, wait for the timer. All right, let's keep going. All right, so I don't have all this cool gear. I have Logic Pro and, East West Orchestra samples. I actually write on the piano and I write it out by hands, and then I ride my horse and buggy to my studio, which is actually my apartment, and record. But yeah, I mean, I work on a very kind of like stripped down home studio. So, and I'm working professionally in games. So yeah, it's just Logic and my monitors, and I just mix and do it all at home. And yeah, that's about it. All right, cool. So I might want to start opening up, not now, maybe a couple minutes. Sure,
Those were kind of the same slide.
Those are the same slide.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Oops.
I gotta think of some cool questions. All right.
All right, improv.
Or we can open up for Q&A. Do a lot of you have questions? Is every hand about to
Who
go
in
up?
here has a question?
Do we have a lot of
Yeah,
questions?
that's gonna.
Yeah,
Okay,
that
let's
looks
just
like a
start
lot.
doing
Plenty.
that.
All right. Should we line up and ask questions? You guys
I think a line
so.
would be
Yeah.
really helpful if you guys don't mind doing that.
line up,
Is
ask
that cool?
questions.
We can hand you one of our mics, and
Yeah.
that way everyone can hear you too.
So if anyone, ask if you want to get into game audio, what do you do, and all that stuff. If you want more advice, everyone,
Oh,
don't
that was
be
so
shy.
nice.
Hey, Pepsi guy.
Pepsi
Hello,
guy.
Pepsi guy. All right.
Pepsi guy.
So you can use this microphone.
Pepsi Man.
Yeah.
Sorry. I am a savage.
We're audio technicians, but we just
Hello.
Right.
Hi.
Hey.
Little Pepsi Man.
Lisa likes bludgeoning people. That's why she did that.
Microphones, you better stay away from me.
All right.
Your question, sir.
My question. So,
And who is it for, if
oh,
applicable?
sorry. It's for everybody.
Okay.
Okay.
Hit it.
So I'm actually not a sound guy. I manipulate the sound guys that live with me, and I am here.
Usually you manipulate the sounds.
Yeah, like the
No,
actual
he
music
manipulates
guys,
the sound
right?
guys.
Yeah, that was
This
about to
ties
be
into
a
my earlier
targeted
joke.
term.
So I'm actually here on their behalf. So my our thing is they work with FL Studio, and I feel like they do really good stuff with that. But it sounds like I feel like it's like when you make a game with RPG Maker, it's it's an RPG Maker game, and I feel like FL Studio has like that same kind of.
You're talking about the default presets problem.
Yeah,
Stock-
yeah,
stock
you probably
sounds.
are right.
That's the stock sounds.
They have got past that, but I just feel like I want their stuff to sound more authentic.
How can they move beyond?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where investing in more software like Native Instruments comes into handy. Like Complete 10 gives you this wide array of different instruments, a lot of synthesizers, a lot of pre-recorded classical instruments and everything like that. It gives you so much more, like different drum kits and everything like that, like a whole bunch of samples and a whole bunch of samples to choose from. Just to expand your palette, because I started off with the same problem. I had I was dealing with presets, just the baseline presets. Then I started working up with sound fonts that were like free sound fonts that I would find on the net. And then, but eventually, if I knew I had to get serious with it, I'm gonna have to just put in the money and just get the good stuff. So you have to see what's out there, but it can definitely be done. And with FL Studio, some of the biggest producers in the world, still use FL Studio to the,
Right.
and you wouldn't know it because of the fact that they've expanded their sound, their whole sound library. So it's out there. You just need to
a
look.
short answer too. Learn to use the different plugins on there, because there's a lot of
And
kind of
get
the
more
same
of
stuff, right? If you get more plugins, VST plugins on there, then you will be able to change the sound, because you're manipulating the frequency instead of just using the basic sound, even after you get the sample pack.
Yeah, the things that they want are the three terms are synonymous. VSTI or VSTs, instruments, plugins, they're all pretty much the same thing, kind of. So there are like thousands, billions, whatever out there, and you should, maybe challenge them to write a single track with a new one each time so that they can expand their horizons.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
IQ, I think, he works heavily in the industry, I think is going to.
Here, whisper your answer. into
Yeah.
this.
I just wanted to add something on to that. Don't be afraid to experiment
Yes.
as well. You know, like it's great to get a sound pack, but I don't feel as though enough people nowadays days take the time to create their own sounds. So
Yeah.
a part of everything else is, especially in hip hop, people sample so much that the rights of your music aren't always yours. The beautiful thing about creating your own sound pack, it's a way to make your own income. People nowadays days, you have so many things that sound very similar, and that's because we're all using the same resources. So
Right.
never be afraid, especially if you're a sound engineer. The first thing you should be doing is creating your own.
Yeah.
So never be afraid of that. Take chances, man. That's all I wanted to add.
Just to
onto it.
tag on,
Yeah.
he is actually on Mega Rand's label, so he definitely knows what he's talking about. He does have credibility. YouTube also is a great place if you're ever stumped on where there's a lot of great tutorials on YouTube. I'm not even a producer, but I do make my own beats. I would 100% agree with him. A lot of times if I hear a sound or I want a sound, it's very much not where do I download this? It's how do I make it? And you learn so much in that process of exploration.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sometimes bugs me because sometimes the presets, even in the biggest games and stuff, you'll hear that stuff. The similarities.
I'm beckoning to you.
As a Foley artist, most of my workflow is what
You're gonna-
remotely sounds like
Yeah. There. Right. Right. See that? Yeah.
There you go.
Creates-
All right.
Next question.
Hi. Okay.
Hello.
This is just more out of sheer curiosity than anything else. What is the weirdest or the worst contract job or thing you have ever made?
Ah, the story time.
I don't know if we're allowed to say these. I don't know.
Okay.
We
I'm
can.
gonna-
We can.
I'll go
How
there.
about this? Let me
Burning
reword the
bridges.
question. Please shine the contract that you feel the worst about in a positive light,
Okay.
so that you don't offend the person that you worked for.
I'll just say this because it's a blanket statement. So when I was first starting, right, you have to start somewhere. And I very much was willing to pretty much do any and everything because I didn't have work, right? So I'm going to just tell you this right now. Avoid Craigslist. You will meet some really, you will meet producers. You will meet PR people. And especially if you're a girl. So I rolled up to this dude's house, and I should have bounced the second I got there. It was hello, and I was like, goodbye. So, trust your gut. If you think something is wrong, deuces.
Don't deal with people that won't talk to you. I know that sounds like pretty obvious, right? But sometimes people, they're like, I've got $1,000. I only need one song. And it needs to be really good. And then they just stop talking. You need to know about their project. You need to know how to fit their needs and whatever. I mean, I've gone through that, and I ended up writing like 5 songs for this person. They didn't have $1,000, but if they don't talk to you, then they're gonna like hit submit on your like incomplete work print idea that just has like 3 notes in it, and
Yeah,
that's
good
not
advice.
necessarily
Real good
good.
advice.
So make sure that you have conversations with people.
I would also say
Those gigs are bad.
I would also say I've gotten in the mistake of like working with someone who's like, but I have to pay you, and I was just like, I'm so eager to please.
That's a
yeah,
full
sure,
stop right
okay,
there.
You'll work for whatever.
But exposure pays the rent. Exposure pays the rent, guys. I mean, right.
I mean,
I take my exposure to the grocery store.
I did
7-Eleven takes exposure.
I did get paid a bit. I mean, it was like ass, but whatever.
And blowjobs?
Okay, so it's just a lesson learned. I don't want to say anything like, incriminating or whatever, but don't work for somebody who's just like, when you say like, oh, I charge this amount of money, and they like arch an eyebrow and look at you like you're like freaking Satan, like you just like kicked a baby and then ate it. Like, you need to
that
get
order.
paid. Do we have time? We have 10 minutes. Oh,
Okay, we have 10 minutes. Let's just start careening through questions.
let's keep going.
We're going to try and keep these answers short, so
Sorry.
Well, this is awkward.
Is it on?
there-
Hello?
you need to speak up.
There you go.
There you go.
Speak later.
Loud?
Yes.
Okay.
You-
Hi, guys. So, really cool to talk to you guys since you're all professionals. I'm super amateur, making music in the most unrecommendable thing ever, GarageBand. But I'm starting, and I actually just got my first instrumental album out, and I'm now helping my friend make a video game and blah, blah, blah. Short questions. First, where are you at in Ohio? That's actually where I'm from.
Okay.
That's cool to know that you're vocal, because I'm actually trying to learn more
Okay.
about vocal.
I'm from Columbus, and I want to say,
Xenia.
okay, I just want to say, doesn't matter what you're starting with, right? One of my favorite bands in the whole world, trash. They're named The Millionaires, and that's how they started. They literally started on GarageBand, and now they tour. They've been doing this for years, so never put yourself down. Just keep doing it. I'll meet up with you at the con or the panel, and we can. All right. Yeah.
Erykah Badu to make.
All right, Wario, get up here.
Garage band.
Wah, wah.
Wow. How about rock
All right,
today?
my question is for you specifically, but if anybody else has the answer, chime in.
Yeah.
So, what's your phone number?
My phone number
Sitting right
is
there.
911.
He's, like, right there. Say hi, Brian. Yeah, he's like
He tried it. He tried
right
it.
here. It's 888-8888.
Yeah.
My number's 911.
He tried it. He tried it.
Hi guys. So I'm starting out and just trying to kind of build a portfolio right now, and I work predominantly in Reason, which is it's really powerful.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff you could do with it. So I always find myself just kind of like building and building and building on things, and then I'll go back and listen to it later, and it sounds really busy. So I guess my question is, how do you know when a song is done?
All right.
You need to learn it for
Yeah.
yourself, but maybe send it to a couple friends and be like, "Do you like this?" And I mean, like, I find that I've just got like 5 or 10 people that I'll email songs to on a regular basis, and I'll just like literally be like, "Is this done? Like, do you listen to this and think that it's missing something?" And just ask someone else.
Give your songs time. So like you finish your songs, you just go out of your house, take a nice walk, enjoy the outdoors, get an ice cream, whatever. Come back the next day all fresh. Seriously, your ears are all fresh and refreshed, and listen to it. And if it still sounds good, then I say it's done. And if it's just like, what the unholy hell is this shit? It's not done.
Learn to ship it.
Yes, that is true. Just get it out the door. Sometimes you just got to do that. And
All
yeah.
right, real
next-
quick okay,
sorry, no,
that's
go
cool.
for it.
Okay, yeah,
We
yeah.
can keep answering,
Real quick
you can come up.
answer, reference tracks. Now I know as creatives we don't really like trying to compare our music to other things, but how else are you going to know? Like we were inspired by something we heard. So listen to something that is closely related, reference it, move on.
And it's just go with your gut, you know? I mean, it's just like sometimes
with
you
the
can be a
awesome
perfectionist,
throat.
and other times when you just hear it, it just sounds right. And if you just don't feel like anything else you can add to it, there you go. Just let it go.
Yeah. All right. Keep them coming. Got a couple more minutes. We'll get everyone all the questions.
I have disappointed you all and done quite a lot of work for free. Not because of a lack of self-confidence, but because I have a question for you all. What's your best advice for pricing, for like numbers and ways to,
Pricing. How do you price the work that you do? Think about how long you're going to be spending doing the work and then add 30% of that time. So if you think 8 hours to make a track, add whatever 30% of 8 hours is to that and then give yourself extra time and then translate that into an hourly rate that you think is fair for yourself, and that's your rate. And then add more if you want to. You got to mix and all that stuff too. All right.
I just had a question. So I think you touched upon this earlier about, say you're producing someone else's tracks, or they give you something, you're like, okay, this is good, but it's not great. What's the common, I guess, trend that you see if you're producing other people's stuff? Like, oh, maybe they could do this better, or
Now, I'll say that I personally don't dabble in chip tunes, because like he said, chip tunes don't necessarily need mixing and mastering, and that's what I do. But if there's actual like full-fledged instruments being mixed in with samples or however, then a lot of it is just frequency. Things need to be heard in each section. So if you have a drums and kick and bass or whatnot, and it's all kind of mulling together, that's what I fix. So it has a lot to do with compression, EQing, figuring out where it lies in the EQ or frequency. So that's the short answer.
That's good. Thank you.
All right. Next. We'll do this. We're not getting kicked out yet. Nobody's coming here with the time sign, so hey.
So I one, I love music, and
Yay.
I've sort of dabbled in the past with like Reaper and stuff like that to try to get some soundtracks going. What I wanted to know is that I'm going for a music major in college, and so what I was wanting to know is, do any of you have sort of music background, like of composition and stuff like that?
Theory composition degree from Montclair State University.
And to add on that, do you feel that there needs to be sort of like a baseline to start this music, or?
I mean, I believe knowing theory is very important. I mean, it's just not everything. It doesn't make or break what you do, but to have like this kind of understanding in like music theory that if I need to make the player feel sad here, then to go to like a minor key, or maybe do like a little like blue tone or something, a little chromaticism or something. So I think it's important to kind of have a theory basis. But some people don't do theory at all, and they do amazing stuff. So yeah.
I would say yes and no, especially on the vocalist perspective. There are just people out there who genuinely have raw talent and they feel it. And it's just talent is something you cannot learn. It's just there. From the vocalist perspective, though, like I said earlier in the panel, I do have vocal training from the Peabody Preparatory out of Johns Hopkins, which helped. And I always recommend to anyone who's trying to get into vocals, having that groundwork, learning those rules are so important, because when you know the rules, you can break the rules, but you break the rules in the right way. Yes.
Took the words out of my mouth.
Hey. All right. A couple more questions. Yeah, let's keep going.
Don't.
Wait, so,
yeah.
sorry.
Your competence is not defined by your degree unless you feel like you need to learn something. You can learn most everything you need to learn online. However, if you feel like getting a degree, then find a music school. Berkeley, not Berkeley, but Berkeley in Massachusetts is very good. And they also offer online classes, which is another thing they're starting to do. So, like, if you feel like you need to do something, grab those. But if not, then maybe just put yourself out there and see what you can do.
Education is very important, but just because you have an education doesn't make you an intelligent person. So, don't let a piece of paper define you as well.
And where you educate yourself is not
Exactly.
important if you learn something.
Yeah, you gotta find the thing that's right for you. And there's a program. If you want to go to a school, like there's a program for you. So
yeah.
Okay, very cool.
Cool.
Come on up.
Awesome.
All right, let's keep going.
I guess to piggyback on that a little bit, I'm actually a student at Berkeley working on my master cert for EDM production.
Shout outs.
Awesome.
And honestly, you really need 3 classes of that. So, but anything helps. I guess first of all, for those that do mixing and mastering, if you guys have cards, give them, because I love to work with other big master engineers for my tracks. And awesome, thanks. And then my question is, so right now I'm an EDM producer, particularly with anime and do trance, progressive house.
Nice.
But I got talked to working on VGM, and I know being an audio engineer for VGM is a little bit more consistent. And I kind of want to cross-grade
Make
into
the
that
jump.
career field.
How do I make the jump? Is that basically?
And well, it's more like, how do I know when I can? Because right now, my day job is cybersecurity. That pays pretty good money. How do I know that? When's the time for me to cross-grade?
I have a good one for this.
To
All right.
be able to
Okay, here's what you need to do. You said you produce CDM, so you're already writing dance music and stuff.
Yes.
Find a game programmer that wants a dance soundtrack, because that's already what you do. That's already what you're good at. You're not going to have to spend a lot of time learning the ropes about how to write a symphonic orchestra soundtrack. Find someone that already wants what you do. Do that for that person, and you're going to learn the things that you need to learn about getting EDM into a video game, and you'll be able to apply that to other things.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually started figuring that out at PAX South. I just wasn't sure what the market is compared to it, because
Everyone wants everything. So there is a place for you. Is really you think that you need to change what you do, but maybe what you really need to do is what you're already doing just for someone else.
That is really good to know. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, so my question's primarily for Lady J, but any of you feel free to jump in.
Hit
I
it.
came from a musical background where I was writing for live instruments, orchestras, small ensembles, and although I've come a long way, I still feel like I don't have a good grasp on mastering and mixing and those sides of production. I've learned a lot, but I still feel like I'm missing that basic foundation, so where do you recommend I go to learn more about that?
Well, the basic foundation is actually a lot more basic than what most people think. It is just about EQing and compression, because it'll go across the board. If you don't have those things down, you have to get whatever you're doing clear, and then you'll add all of the other stuff and, figure it out. So that is the basics. If you learn the ins and outs about that, then you're fine. Really, it is. It is that simple.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy, but can I ask 2 questions? Sure. Okay.
We're not getting kicked out, so you can
Oh, cool. Okay.
Do the thing, but do it.
Oh yeah, of course.
Maybe what we should do is one question, loop to the back, and
Okay.
give the other guys a
I can
chance.
do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So first question: those of you that do live recording, what mics you use?
Well, currently I've fallen in love with the Newman TL 102. So, well, TLM 102. Because I'm very much so about clarity in my vocals. And, you know, it has a really, really good brightness, especially with the space that we have currently for the studio. So that's what I'm primarily using for vocals.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, so I'm going to try to ask this generally so anybody can jump in, but mostly this is for you. So I've taken a lot of the advice that you guys have already had. You know, it's never good enough for you. You just have to release it despite the self-doubt. You have to actually pay the money and when you're ready to take the plunge. I spent my part-time income to get FL Studio. When I got a real job, I went and grabbed Complete 9. Any advice for trying to get programs to work with each other? And I'm looking specifically at you because I have had so many audio glitching issues between FL and Contact.
Yeah, it was a little tough at first trying to make the transition to connect everything. You have to really, really follow those instructions well, and even the ones that are in there, you might even have to look. You might even have to Google to look out there exactly how do you connect everything? How do you make sure all the bases? You have to make sure first off that they're all. If you have any external hard drives and whatnot, that they're all in sync with one another. Sometimes it'll help better if they're all on the same laptop and stuff like that. But
maybe finish the thought. Yeah.
Make sure that whatever you're connected to is all in sync with each other. Look up tutorials on how to actually do it. There are whole message boards dedicated to it, and that's what I had to look to. Even when the instructions that were given to me kind of failed me, it'll help you understand. It'll help a lot.
All right, everyone, we got the time warning. We are moving outside. If you have further questions for any of the panelists here, we can hang out for a couple minutes. So just please hang out outside. We got to get out of here. Thank you for coming, everybody. I hope you all learned a lot of great stuff. Thank you. We'll see you outside.